Hello, people. This is the first episode of Yellow Tape, and like I said in my intro, we're going to be covering all true crime cases in Nigeria and beyond. I would really like to concentrate on Nigeria because that's where I am, and I can see that crime is increasing, and it seems like the government are being kind of complacent about it. So I think that. It's nice to talk about these things and lend voices to the victims and lend voices to the victims' families to increase awareness and also get the government's attention on these cases. So, our first episode today will be covering the case of OLUWABAMISE Toyosi AYANWOLE. You guys will have to forgive me. I hope I'm not pronouncing the names wrongly. So I took it upon myself to browse about her name, the meaning of her name. And from what I could get, Oluwabamiche was born, she's 22 years old. She was either she's clocking 22 or she is already 22. So she was either born in 1999 or 2000, within that year range. So obviously she's a young girl. I know people who are born. I have a very close sibling who was born within that age range, and this is a time where people are trying to set their future, trying to lay a path for where they want to end up in. People are starting business, probably finishing school, or observing their compulsory National Youth Service Corps. So it's an eventful time of our life, and unfortunately, this sad incident happened and took her life. It's so painful. I can't imagine being in position of her loved ones or her family mourning her death. So, Bamishe, Oluwabamishe means God has blessed me. That is what I got from my research. And I tried to imagine what was the mom's thinking in giving her this name. And I just realized that she's the 10th child, the last born of 10 children. And I understand a mother naming her last child out of 10. God has blessed me because indeed the woman is blessed. So she was born to Joseph and Comfort Ayanwole. Oluwabamiche was a young girl. She was a fashion designer. I don't know what stage of education she was in or whether she was still in school. But from what I understand, she was a fashion designer, and she was on this fateful day on February 26, 2022. That was the day she went missing. She was in transit. She was going from Lekki to Oshodi. Lekki to Oshodi is quite a distance, and the means of transportation was BRT. I don't know how many people are familiar with Lagos transport system, but if you live in Lagos, you know about the BRT. The BRT is a state-sponsored transit that was initiated by the government in order to reduce the traffic in Lagos because Lagos is pretty congested. So this bus, they have designated pick up and drop off locations, and they have their routes. So from what I could gather, she boarded at Lekki heading to Oshodi to visit her senior brother. So she was hoping to spend a weekend with her senior brother, and this with her senior brother and his family. So this kind of shows me the kind of person she is. I feel like she's this baby of the house who everybody loves. Everybody wants to support her ideas. Everybody wants to know what she's doing, hoping she's on the right path, guide her, give her advice from your experiences as an older sibling. So I guess that is the situation here because I can relate with my own family. So she was in transit, and when she boarded this bus, she was the only one in the bus. I've seen conflicting reports. There are some reports that said that two other guys joined on the bus, while there are some reports that said that she was alone. I can't really confirm or deny which is true, but I'm sure that he was lonely enough for what happened to have happened. So while she was in this bus, the driver, from what I understand, asked her to stay at the back, and she stayed there. And along the line, she discovered that the interior of the bus was dark. She okay, from the major news source, they said that two other people boarded this bus afterwards, but that the driver did not pick any more passengers. But I get confused because subsequently in the story they didn't bring up these two other people and whether they dropped off. But I think a lot is to be said about Bamishi's bravery, because along the line she noticed that something was amiss. She noticed that the driver wasn't picking up passengers, and she started contacting her friend. And this is a very important thing, that when you notice that you're in danger, it's very important to keep that trail so that you can be found easily. So she sent voice note to her friends, raising the concerns, telling them that she's noticing some unusual things. And she also sent video clips and also sent the place number identifier to her friend. So her friend, being a smart person, this also shows me that she keeps really smart friends. Her friend advised her to alight at the nearest bus stop. But unfortunately, this did not happen. Afterwards, her friend stopped hearing from her, and the last message she received from Bamishi was, "Please pray for me." This was the recorded conversation. And after that, her friend tried calling her. Several people tried to reach her, but they didn't get through. And I also read at one point that someone was able to reach her, but when she picked up the phone, there was a lot of struggle from her own end, from Bamishi's end. So before the call finally hung up, and at this point, nobody knew where she was. Unfortunately, her the next day, sorry, not the next day, some weeks after, this happened on February 26th, on March 7th, which is like 2 weeks after she was missing, she was reported missing. Her dead body was discovered in near Kata Bridge in Lagos Island. Some people were saying there are eyewitness testimonies that said that she was alive when she was thrown out of the BRT bus, but that she could not be treated or rushed to the hospital. But I find this very, I don't believe this, because if she was alive when she was thrown out of the BRT bus, obviously the BRT must have been walking between February 26th and March 7th. I doubt it was grounded. So if it was walking, that means the man must have dropped her off that same February 26th or latest the next day. So assuming that he dropped her off 26th, does it mean that she was alive and they left her outside till she died, and then left her there until March 7th? Does it mean that no one contacted the police, no one tried to help her, nobody raised alarm or even called the press, or even videoed her, which is something I know that they do from people usually video this kind of things. So I really, really find it hard to believe that she was thrown out of the BRT bus alive. But when her corpse was found, some people said there are conflicting information. There are speculations that she was raped and she was mutilated, probably to be used for some of these rituals. But this is not a verifiable information. But one thing that we know is that she was not found alive. Then, from the information gathered from her friend who she was talking with, the police started making investigations, trying to trace which bus that she entered. and this bus was trailed was trailed down to was traced back to a man, a 47-year-old man named Andrew Nice Ominikoron. From what I understand, this man was not found in Lagos. He had a hideout in Ogun State, which is a neighboring state from Lagos. So he went to Ogun State in a town called Usosa and he hid there. But when they found him, initially he confessed to the crime. But I guess that probably when they came back to Lagos on giving him the formal interview, he started denying any involvement in this issue. But it's very, very, very hard to believe that because one, where if he was who was driving his bus that day, was it him? Was it somebody else? Is he saying that he was not the one who drove the bus? Which I doubt that that's what he was saying. And if he's saying that he's innocent, why did he run? Why did he run? If you know that you didn't do any of such thing, why would you run and go and hide out from me? Why would you even confess to the crime initially? Some people may say it's fear, but I don't think this is the situation here. And this is why I also said that there are some conflicting information as to whether there were other people in the bus with her. So at this point, if there were other people in the bus with her, I believe that we should have heard that people were testifying, or were those people in on it? Were they part of the people that that caused that inflicted this on the young girl? And when Bamishe was found, I'm going to mention what was not found with her. She was not found with her clothes. Her family gave an interview saying that she had some clothes with her. The one she was wearing, she had her mother's clothes and her brother's clothes. And my theory about this, because it's weird carrying your mother and your brother's clothes, but my theory about this is that probably she had it because she was a fashion designer and probably she was sewing clothes for her family, maybe for an event or something like that, or maybe she was trying to adjust their clothes. That's why she had her mom's clothes and her brother's clothes. Also, her phone was not found, her bag was not found. So this is like a number of things that was not found with her. Her clothes, her mom's clothes, her brother's clothes, her bag, and her phone. And it makes me now wonder, the police that we have here, what have they done? Have they tried tracing this phone? What technology is even in place in our security system? Can they say, okay, can they go to any of the telecoms and say, okay, this is the last place this is the last mast that this phone pinged off on? Can they say that this is when the phone was shut off? At least if the phone pinged off of a mast that is close to a place where this BRT driver was known to live, then it's an evidence. We can say that there is a high chance that he is probably guilty of this crime. So before we go further, I'm going to talk about what has happened since her date, because there has been a lot of stories about this driver, this Andrew Nice. I wonder why in the hell the man's name is Andrew and Nice at the same time. Like, these are two names he should not be bearing. Well, so there are a lot of things that have trailed this man. There's someone else who has come out to accuse this man of something else that I'm going to get into later. Recently, a news came out that the government invited the family of Bamishe to witness the autopsy, but the family did not they didn't authorize it. I guess the part of the reasons they gave was that they told them on short notice that they wanted to find their own pathologies. And of course, I don't blame them, because this is a very dicey situation, especially in a corrupt country like this. They need, I can see where they are coming from if they say they need to have their own pathologist, because I'm sure there are processes they have to follow in carrying out an autopsy. And if they need to have a pathologist there present, paid from their own pocket, that can tell the government appointed pathologist, no, do not do this, don't do that, preserve this part, don't do this, don't do that. I think that it will be best. And this autopsy is even supposed to prove that she was raped. But given that this girl was found dead, I really don't think that saying that she was sexually assaulted is too far-fetched. So it seems there is more likely than not. Let me just stop and put it at that. So I really don't blame the family, but I'm wondering, is this the normal process? Do the families get to invite their own pathologist? I was thinking that I'm new in this space, of course, but I used to think that when they conduct autopsies, the government can give their own report of autopsy after they are done. And after giving the result of the autopsy, the family can still go back and request to perform another autopsy using their own pathologist. That was what I was thinking. And the family also raised some concerns. They said that the government has been pressurizing them to bury her. Oh, it seems that they are feeling pressured to bury her. And it makes me wonder, is this true? Why would they want to bury her? Because I know that there are a lot of possible reasons. Because one, think about the BRT system. People are now, there's a lot of uproar about it. People are thinking that the BRT is not safe. And this BRT is a huge investment of the government. If people think that it's not safe and people are not using it as a means of transport, they are losing money and they are not achieving their objective of reducing traffic in Lagos. So it makes you wonder, is this true? Could they be pressurizing them to bury her? Because of course, you know that if someone is buried and the body is decomposed, there is limited information that can be gotten from that as to how the person died. So I really don't blame the family. If they want to get their own pathologist, it is well within their rights. So now I'm going to go into the next victim, alleged victim. This is someone that has come out to complain. The lady in question said that this incident occurred on 25th November 2021. And if you're following this is almost exactly 3 months after Bamishi went missing. Sorry, before Bamishi went missing. So this is happening in 25th November 2021, while Bamishi's own is happening 26th February 2022. This young girl, obviously, this is someone else who claims to have been sexually assaulted by this same BRT driver. So this girl, she's a sales girl. She used to work at a shop in Aja. So I don't know if she's, because the news sources I saw, they mentioned they used former sales girl, and it makes me wonder, did she resign following this incident? Because I know the 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 mental stress and the challenges she would have faced going back to work after this incident. But I wouldn't know why she stopped working there, but this is what I could gather. So she closed from work around 8 p.m. and she boarded a BRT bus, obviously the same BRT boat, driven by Andrew Nice. She boarded this bus at Alesh bus stop in Aja, and she was supposed to drop at Jakonde bus stop on Lekki Expressway. So she said that along the way, the guy switched off the light. If you know BRT buses, most times the light is always on. Anytime I see them, the light is always on, especially at night. If I'm on the road, I see them and the light is always on. So he switched off the lights and the AC was on. And I get why she must have noticed that the light was off and the AC was on. Maybe sometimes drivers, they may want to switch off some things if they feel that the car is not okay. But obviously she noticed that the light was off, but the AC was on. So she said as they approached the first toll gate from Aja, he suddenly parked the car. Then he told her to come over to the front and sit. Then he started asking her series of questions. Along the line, she saw him take a drug. And that reminds me, I have a theory about this drug. I will mention it at the end of this podcast, along with my comments. So she saw him take a drug, and few minutes later, he 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 started. I believe that her mindset about the drug was that maybe he was on a medication that he needed to take before the time runs out, or before it gets late. So a few minutes later, he started making advances towards her. And from what she could gather, she saw that the man was ready for action, if you know what I mean, for the adults here, that the man was ready for action. So she became very uncomfortable. She insisted, she told him, I want to get off this bus. But the guy obviously refused to open the door. And I believe that she must have insisted a couple of times for her to get the message that something is going very, very, very wrong here. So he said, he now told her that he wanted both of them to go and chill and that he wanted to have intercourse with her. I don't understand this. I bothered your boss. I'm in your boss, and you're telling me you want us to go and chill. To go and chill where? Do I know you from somewhere, Oga? What are we chilling? But that's where this is where you see the kind of person he is. If he really did this, she said that next thing she knew, the man had a knife, and he dragged her back to the back of the seat, the back of the bus. This bus is a pretty long bus. He dragged her to the back and told her to take off the clothes. And obviously, remember that the light is off, so I'm sure that nobody knows what's happening. Probably people are thinking the car is spoiled and they are trying to repair it. And from what I could gather, where he parked was even a bit lonely, so he must have gone off the major road. So he threatened her with this knife and asked her to remove her clothes. And he tore her gown and removed her shorts and did his dirty deeds. From what this young lady said, she said she was scared. She could not even shout because she had looked at the surroundings and everywhere was quiet. And I really don't blame her. I really don't blame her for not shouting, because at that point, your life is very, very important. If she had started shouting, it's possible that he may have just killed her to silence her at that point in time, and she may not even get to achieve the aim of someone hearing her. So, but why raise your voice? It's just to keep calm and pray to get out of this situation. And he even refused to let her go after the incident. He refused to drop her. He now insisted that he must drive her back to that Jakonde bus stop. And remember that I told you that she boarded the bus. She was going from somewhere in Ajah to this Jakonde bus stop. So when they now go to his bus stop, the guy still refused to open the door. He now demanded her account number. From what I read, he told her that he's sorry, that he apologized, and told her that he wanted her to go and get painkillers, that he was going to send her money, that she should give him the account number. At that point in time, this girl, being very, very smart, Initially, obviously, you don't want anything more to do with this guy. She said no. She refused to give him the account number, which I 100% understand. Because at that point, you're filled with disgust, you're filled with pain. You just want to leave that situation. But he kept demanding the account number. And one something just clicked in her mind. She was like, I'll probably need evidence if I need to take this further. So she gave him the account number and he sent her 3,000 naira. He then opened the door and she left. So she said obviously that she could not speak out. She was so ashamed. She did not. And this is what we are talking about, the shame of rape. The shame the society put on raped people and the victim blaming. It's just out of hand. So, but when his picture started circulating everywhere online and the death of OLUWABAMISE came up, she told her friend that she knows this guy. She went back to her bank and generated a statement and saw the transfer, and his name was clearly written there. So that's how she knew that it was the same guy. And this incident, it got me thinking. It got me thinking. This is 3 months between November and February 26th. Between that November 25th and February 26th. Are we saying that this man didn't have more victims within this time frame? This other young lady, are we saying allegedly? Are we saying that there is no one else before this young lady? Left for me, I would really like to know, where did this man work before becoming a BRT driver? Because that organizations may have some stories to tell, but we never can tell. All these are just suspicion. He has not been convicted, and actually, he even pled not guilty. He even pled not guilty to this crime. And back to my theory about the drug, if you ask me, remember that she said that after the man took the drug, next day she noticed he was ready for action. If you ask me, that drug he took may have been a performance enhancing drug. And that's to tell you that this man is prepared. Or because who in the hell walks around with performance enhancing drug? Well, I don't know, Sha, but in my own thinking, I don't think anybody just walks around with that kind of thing. This to tell you that this man is calculated, allegedly. So, and it makes you wonder, this shame about rape, when are things going to get better? When are we going to be allowed to speak up? If Bamishe was not killed, would we have heard this first story? Probably not. Probably not. She probably would not want to say it. But now that he has killed someone allegedly, everybody is eager to agree that rape is not far-fetched. So, guys, just let me know what you think.